Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Shakita. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am here today to share with you guys some amazing tips that I have for, if you're trying to move on in a relationship and you still love somebody, it can really be such a challenging and very hard thing to do. And so, if you are new here, before we get into it, I want you to go ahead and subscribe and like this video if you do love it, of course. But if you don't know me, I am a relationship coach. I am a mom, a wife, and an entrepreneur and a proud millennial. So thank you for being here with me today. And so we're going to jump right in. So again, I oftentimes get people and women, especially, who are struggling to move on from a relationship when they know like it's not healthy, or they know that there are some things that are happening, maybe some deal breakers that are like clearly bright as day that they've been experiencing for a very long time. But it's like, okay, I still have all these love feelings for this person, so how do I really move on from that? How do I really take myself out of that relationship when those feelings are so strong? And so I wanted to share those things with you guys today. One of the ways that the first way that I like to tell people to practice or to aid them in helping them to move on from a relationship is really first acknowledging what it is that is happening in the relationship. Like, what are the good things that are happening? And then what are the things that are not so healthy, or the bad things that are happening in the relationship that has led you to this point to even feel like you need to move on, right? Like, I was watching this video with I forgot her name, but she's a judge and she's married to Kenny Lattimore, but I don't know, Judge Faith. I think that's her name. But I was watching her a video with her, and she was talking about how oftentimes moving on is really a difficult process for a lot of people, especially if you're still holding on to like the history of the relationship, if you're still thinking about all of these things that y'all used to do, and if that is still populating in your mind, it's really difficult to let go of a person, even if you know that they're not treating you well, or if you know that they're not growing in their ability to take care of you or to show up in a relationship. It's still a very hard thing to do, to disconnect that mind and that body and that knowing. But still, that's not a good enough reason to stay in a relationship that is unhealthy for you, or the person is disrespecting you, and doing things outside of your deal breakers. So again, acknowledge what it is, what the truth is, the matter of the relationship, the state of the relationship for what it is right now versus what it was and what it could be. So that's my number one tip, right? The second part is to accept what the relationship means to you. I mean, it's okay that you feel deeply hurt by this relationship, or by the way that the relationship is going. It's okay to know that this was somebody that you really loved, or this was so important to you, or this was your first relationship, or this was your longest relationship, or this is a person who was with you when your mom passed, or when your cousin died. Like, I understand, like, there's so many connections to why we hold on to relationships and to why it matters and why it's so important to us. But it's still very essential to understand that, like, this relationship is important to you, but still there has to be a period to where, if it's not working and you've exhausted all options, you've tried counseling, you've tried therapy, you've tried coaching, you've tried, and you're putting in all the effort and the person is not willing to change, or maybe you're just having some mindset blocks, and you are not even willing to change some things because you want to keep it in the same way, or maybe you're afraid of the conflict, or you're fearful that the person may leave you. Again, addressing some of those abandonment issues that I talked about in previous videos. But ultimately, it's important to acknowledge what the relationship was to you. It's okay that it meant everything to you. It's okay that it was something that you've always dreamed of, and now it's like it's falling apart and you don't know what to do. Acknowledge and accept that's okay. It can still mean a lot to you and have meant a lot to you, and you can still be kind of in this position where maybe this is not the best relationship for me, and so I need to move on. Okay. The next part and tip that I would say is to feel your feelings. It's kind of connected to that last video, the last tip that I said, right? It's important to still feel your feelings in this moment that you're sad. If you're feeling sad, if you're feeling hurt, if you're feeling disappointed or ashamed or guilty, if you're feeling embarrassed, if you're feeling like a failure, if you're feeling unworthy, if you're feeling unloved, if you're feeling like, oh my, hopeless about the future, like I'm never going to find love, I'm never going to find the person that I want to spend my life with. If you are feeling those things, it's okay. Accept that right now, this is what I feel. Accept right now, I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm disappointed, I'm heartbroken, accept that you're conflicted, accept these things, because when we try to push them away and when we try to act like they don't exist or we try to avoid the feelings, that's when they come back tenfold, right? So it's like a catch 22. Have you ever been, sad or angry, and then you're sad because you're sad, and then now you're even sadder and you're even more frustrated or depressed? That's real. It's a real thing. And so it's the same thing with these feelings. If you are feeling like, I don't want to feel like this, I just want to push them away, I just want to drink myself to where I don't feel anything, I just want to, take some drugs, or I just want why did I say take drugs? I just want to, use substances, or I just want to do things that avoid these feelings. That's not the route you want to take. You want to take the opposite, and you want to feel those feelings. That can look like sitting down and journaling what you feel. That can look like talking to a friend or a family member, someone you trust and love, who cares about you, about what you're experiencing. It could just be saying it out loud. It can be, doing some yoga or meditation or stretching. It could be taking a walk outside and just being like, dang, I'm really sad. Like, this sucks. Like, I'm going to be doing these things alone, right? Because the adjustment period to understanding that now if this relationship ends, what does this mean for you? What does this mean for the people that's connected to you and this person? What does this mean for, your lifestyle? It may change. And so there's a lot of feelings associated with moving on from someone. And I think a big part of that is accepting what that would look like, and also grieving the process. I always tell people that it's okay to grieve, this loss of a relationship, or the loss of this hope for the future with this particular person. And you need to actually go through that grieving process. And if you guys don't know it, I'll share it really quickly, that there's 5 stages of grief. There's more, and some, depending on who you're talking to, but I like to go through the ones of anger, denial, bargaining, which is like, I woulda, coulda, shoulda, if I woulda did this, if I shoulda did this, or had I known better, I should have left earlier, or I should have stayed, or maybe I should have said this, or maybe if this person, it's kind of that going back and forth of thinking that you could have done something to change the situation, or maybe that you can do something to change the situation or the outcome. It really is about trying to get rid of the pain or the conflict or the feelings that you feel. That's what really bargaining is about underneath. It's about trying not to feel the pain that you feel, but it's important to accept what it is, right? So the other part of the stages of grief is depression, and that usually looks like, maybe you don't have any interest in the things that you normally do. Maybe you are not really feeling like going to work, or feeling like eating, or having trouble sleeping, or maybe you're sleeping a lot, maybe you're not showering often, maybe you are functioning, you're showing up for people, but when you go back home, it's like, and you're somber, and you have no emotional um range. It's just sadness, or it's just depression or anger or whatever. You're stuck scrolling on social media. It can look like many of things, right? And then the last stage is acceptance, in which grief does not happen in a linear process. It happens in all sort of ways, right? It's like a web of entanglements of emotions and experiences that you're going to go through. And so it's important to understand that it's not a linear process. It's okay to grieve that relationship because it meant a lot to you, right? Which is why it's important to identify what that relationship meant to you. So knowing that, accept that you're going to go through different stages, not at the same time, but you will. And that, as you keep going through these stages and going through this process and really being intentional about healing, that you will start to feel better, and things will look out, better than they are right now. So you won't always feel like this. Just keep that in mind. um my next um my next point is to really think about, use this moment, this point in your relationship, or this ending period in your relationship, to where you think about what you want your next relationship to look like, right? What is, some deal breakers that happen in this relationship that you're like, absolutely not, in your next one? What are some things that you want? Like, what are some characteristics you realize are important to you to think about in a person that you want to be with? And some qualities that are beyond just the superficial things, right? Like, what are some things that you did not like, or some things that you need in order to feel safe and secure? So I want you to really use this time to be like, you know what? Because, and you only can do this if you accept where the relationship is right now, and stop trying to hold it to a pigment of what it was in the past, or a glimpse of what it could be in the future, but really focusing on the present situation. Again, if you are watching this video, it's likely that you're having a hard time moving on because you need to, or because the other person is not putting in enough effort to show you that they want to stay, or maybe they're confusing you and they don't really fight for it, but they don't even want you to leave. They holding you by a string, you feel like a puppet, and so you're kind of moving to what they feel and you're kind of going with the flow. But maybe you're tired of that and you really want to finally decide if this relationship is going to be sustainable, or if it's going to be something that you just allow to let go because it's not sustainable and it's not meeting your needs or fulfilling you, and you don't want to keep be led it in different directions, right? So really think about and use this time to reflect on what it is that you want, what qualities you want in a person, what characteristics, what type of deal breakers do you want to put in place for your next relationship, because you don't want to go out into the world dating and end in a relationship just to go to another one and accept the same things and attract the same people. Definitely not. Okay. Like maybe you need to hit me up or maybe you need to reach out to me, but you do not want to do that. So it's really important to use this time as reflection on what you need to and what you want differently for next time. Okay. I think I said this earlier, but really releasing the guilt and the shame and the fear of failure. Oftentimes, especially for us millennials, and I'm sure for everybody that's growing up, right? You oftentimes feel this pressure to show up for people or to feel like you have to be at a certain milestone at a certain time, when really, that's just some false, subjection that we all have been allowing in our lives and allowing society to lead us and guide us and to persuade us into being married by a certain age, having children by a certain age, having a certain career, a certain car, a certain house, certain type of money. And so again, all of that, when a relationship is not working and you're having to move on, it can really, that can all resurface, right? And you can really feel like you're not doing really well in your life and that things are not working out. And so and that failure can feel really, really heavy, right? That embarrassment, that shame, that guilt. Oh, this is another relationship didn't work out. This is another thing for me that didn't work out. I want you to be mindful of those cognitive errors, right? That's those irrational beliefs. Don't put that energy into your life. You know what? This didn't work out, but I'm hopeful that there's going to be other things that work out for me. I know that this person wasn't for me because they weren't willing to change, or, we weren't compatible in a certain area. Maybe they wanted kids and I didn't, or I didn't and they did, or maybe they wanted a certain lifestyle and I just wasn't with it, and I'm not willing to compromise because this is not it for me. Then you have hope that you will find the best fit person. You have to know that and you have to believe that. So put that energy out and don't allow those negative feelings to really overcome you. I have just a couple of more. Again, I think it's important to spend time with your family during this time. It's so important to spend time with your friends and loved ones. Have people and be around people who pour into you, because when you're in a relationship, usually you're with that person all the time. You kind of like off to the side and you like, I see y'all when I see y'all to your family and friends. But when a relationship ends, that's when we really need that support. Of course, it's important to maintain those relationships throughout the duration of your relationship. But sometimes things happen. We get so caught up in our love, and people live their own lives, and we don't often reach out or be as available as we can. But still, in this time, connect with those people. And I know that it feels hard and it can feel shameful and embarrassing, but when people love you, they're going to welcome you. And if there are safe people emotionally and mentally for you physically, then you should be able to go to them even when the times are hard, or even if you haven't seen them in 3 months, or even if you barely talk to them, still to just hang out with them and be around. And you don't need to have to need anything, but just to feel good energy and feel loved again, right? Because sometimes ending a relationship can feel very isolating and like you're not loved. So that's one of my things I would say to do. The next one is to write out a letter. Again, if you have already decided to end that relationship and you have already stepped away and now you're just having a hard time, or maybe you made the decision and now you're like, okay, we keep going back and forth, we in a cycle. I want you to really think about writing out a letter. Of course, write out your emotions, but consider writing a letter to your ex or to this person or to a friend, whoever this relationship is ending with, because it doesn't just have to be romantic. It could be a friend, a family member, whoever, a work colleague, your work, whoever. Consider writing a letter to them, explaining how you feel, explaining your disappointments, explaining the things that you loved or enjoyed, kind of like reflecting, but also stating what it is, right? Stating and speaking that truth in the beginning that I talked about, of like, but this isn't working for me, and I have to let you go, even though I don't want to let you go. I have to move on, even though it's hard and I still love you. My heart is still there, but I recognize that I want something better. I want something different. I recognize that I have certain things that I need in my life, and you are unable to give them because you're not willing to, or maybe you don't have the capacity to. But I can no longer stay. I can no longer sit. I can no longer wait. And I don't want to be a part of this while you try to figure it out. In your letter, say everything that you feel. And then in that letter, you don't have to give it to them. I wouldn't recommend giving it to your ex, but you can if you want to, but I wouldn't. I think it really is just about you releasing that as if you're talking to this person, and then maybe you go tear it up. Maybe you tear it and rip it up. Maybe you save it and you keep it. But I would say this is the point to where it's time to close that chapter. It's time to release yourself, release this relationship back into whatever realm it was, and let it be, so that you can welcome in new things, better things, bigger things, things that are more fulfilling, that are more authentic to who you are and to who you want. So be mindful of writing this letter that is not to give it to the person. It really is just for you to talk to them as if you're talking to them, and say all these things that you need to say to get them out. Maybe rip the letter up, burn the letter. Please don't start a fire. Do not set a fire. Do it, in a sink where there's water. You can put it out. Don't do it if you are young. I don't know. Like, just don't start a fire. Okay, that's not what it is to do. Is to set a fire to everything. But maybe just to rip up the letter, throw it away, ball it up, crumble it up, scribble on it after you write it. I don't know, do something. Maybe rip it up and turn it to glue it to some construction paper and make a beautiful picture over it. I don't know. Do something to just kind of commensurate the closing of this relationship and getting your feelings out, if that makes sense. So um, and the last thing, but the one of the most important things, is just to be hopeful about the future. As I said in one of our other in the previous step, is you want to maintain hope for your future. And although sometimes ending a relationship can feel like a rejection, it can feel like disappointment, it can feel like you're losing someone, or it can feel like someone is letting you go and they don't care enough to make changes for you. But I really want you to focus on, you know, maybe this wasn't a good fit for me, right? Because if you're choosing to leave, or if the relationship is just not working, and you even have the idea and the wisdom to say, you know what, I think I need to leave, I need to move on, or this isn't working, that means that you know that there's something better for you. I want you to hold on to that. Be hopeful. Use again this as a lesson to really identify what it is that you want in the next person, in the next relationship, so that you can be better, understand and heal, so that you can show up as a person that you want your next person to meet, and not the person that you want your next person to be trying to reconcile with, because of all the things that you haven't healed from that last relationship. You don't want to be punishing people whom didn't create and cause these issues in your life. So you really want to show up as healed. And the best way to do that is, of course, the things that I've listed before this, but just being hopeful about your next person, being hopeful about your next relationship, and really understanding that you left because this did not work for you. It does not mean that you're not worthy, that you're not loved, that you're not capable of having a relationship, that people don't care about you enough to make changes. That's not true. Again, a lot of the times people struggle with things that are more about them than they are about us. Most 90%, 99% of the time, people are struggling with their own issues and their own inabilities to love people the way that they need to be loved, or maybe y'all are just not compatible. But either way, try to look at it from a very hopeful perspective versus one that is more problem oriented, where you are the problem, or you are the issue, or you're not good enough, or like, don't focus on that. Okay, let it be what it's going to be, because you will get the things that you want if you continue to heal yourself and reflect on what it is that you need to change and who you want going forward. I hope all of that makes sense. Thank you guys for tuning in today. If you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like the video. If you can leave a comment, let me know what you think. Let me know what tip resonated with you the most. Let me know if you have any questions about any videos you want me to do, or anything in this video that I talked about. As always, you guys can reach me at jakitareed.com, or again, just comment on here and I can try to reach out to you. Don't forget to share this video with someone whom is amazing, and who is someone who can use this video. Okay. Thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.